even bigger news, and it's not good news.
No.
I really wanted it to be positive hump day. I was pretty stoked. I told producer Steph, I'm like, I want the poll question to be positive. I want comments to be positive. I want everything to be positive because they're coming off a win, and they needed that win. We all know they needed it, but needed it more so too because Florida ended up winning. And there were some great things that happened in that game. But unfortunately, reality is forcing me to be a little negative here, and negative in so that I'm delivering negative news, and that is Jake Muzzin is expected to miss 4 weeks with a broken hand. He suffered that last night blocking a shot. We know he missed the entire third period because that came near the end of the second period. Victor Hedman, not exactly a small boy, wiring that shot. So he breaks his hand. Like, are you... I don't even know what to say anymore. I already said it earlier when... I think this was back when Morgan Riley got injured. I'm like, I'm crying uncle here with the amount of injuries, that's happening right now to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But this is a big one because... So last year, if you recall... After trade deadline, that's when Jake Gardner went down with his injury. We knew he had been monitoring his back. Like, we knew.
Yeah, he hadn't been himself.
He hadn't been. And we thought, okay, is Kyle Dubas going to make another move here? Because remember, a month earlier, he had acquired Jake Muzzin. But we thought, okay, Jake Muzzin should be an addition. He shouldn't be a replacement.
Right.
So we thought, okay, is he going to go and get somebody else? He didn't. And then... like clockwork, that's when Jake Gardner goes down, right? Just when trade deadline passes. And then shortly after that, Travis Dermott goes down.
That didn't help.
With his shoulder injury.
And that was when, remember, Callie Rosen was going to be the savior. If only Callie Rosen was healthy, everything would be fine. How about that? Isn't that funny how history can repeat itself?
It's because Callie Rosen is the one who's been called up.
Yes.
And I know that they really, and rightfully so, wanted him to perhaps get some more games under his feet with the Marlies, although he had been playing in the AHL.
Yes.
In the Colorado system, so whatever. But we'll see. We'll see what he can provide. But yeah, it's horrible news. So Jake Muzzin goes down, and of course it comes right after trade deadline. And I know a lot of people were divided in what Kyle Dubas did or did not do come trade deadline. Should he have still added another depth guy? We heard he had meetings with Zach Bogosian, so it's... And again, this is where I'm going to take the positive spin on it. Like, there is a part of me that believes, because we've also been told, so it's fact, it's not me believing out of thin air, that Kyle Dubas was looking around and that he was talking to, not just potential depth D-man, but guys who could be part of the team long term, because again, he didn't want to give up too much for someone that would then be gone at the end of the year. So he tried. It just didn't happen. Now, Pierre LeBrun's going to be joining us. I want to delve a little bit more if he has any more inside information on how hard Dubas tried to trade Barrie.
Which, in hindsight, turns out to be one of the great deals you didn't make.
And then there's that, right? Like, is it maybe a good thing that he didn't trade Barrie because now you look at the depth being challenged once again for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
And this is sort of a moment, as much as... the way the Leafs have played of late, last night accepted because that was, as you say, plenty of reasons for positivity after a night like last night. But, we know this city was in an outright panic about the way this team was playing in the wake of the Zamboni driver's famous moment in the sun on Saturday night. But this is sort of a moment, Andy, to feel a little sorry for yourself if you're a Leaf fan, because you look at the absolute epidemic of injuries that have hit this team. And there's 2 guys on this team, 2 guys on the roster, just 2, Tyson Barrie and Austin Matthews, who've played all 64 games.
That's me knocking on wood.
And knock on wood, because we know Austin Matthews has had a bit of a history of not playing all the games most seasons. And beyond that, everybody's been hit by this bug. And Jake Muzzin now twice in a season, he's broken a foot. He has now broken a hand. Think about that.
Yeah, he broke his toe, right? So he just so you're, and I know that I am the capitano of the excuse train. I get it, and I know there are other teams out there who have more man games lost.
And more significant. Like Pittsburgh's probably the top team in terms of having significant players lost for significant time.
Sure,
but they're still doing okay.
And they are, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the argument I made, and it can be pie in the sky. I also said that I feel Pittsburgh has been there, done that with a roster that has been used to playing without Crosby, without Malkin, without Chris Letang, without Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, I'm talking about key players to their lineup. That Jim Rutherford, it's kind of like he's been snake bitten, so he has learned as a GM how to properly stock his team.
You can say that.
And I think that comes with experience. But I think for this team in particular as well, like even this crop of players, again, I go back to when they all first started playing in the NHL, right? And you're going back to that year that they made the playoffs and played the Washington Capitals. When we looked back at the season it was all, they didn't get injured. Yeah. Honestly, not one key guy missed any time, right?
So true.
That ended up saving them, and then they, they had hiccups in the following years, as you had mentioned, with Austin Matthews being out. But other than that, still relatively healthy. So now you have a GM who's experiencing a lot of this for the first time. Core group of players who are also experiencing guys just in and out of the lineup for the first time. Sheldon Keefe, you could say experiencing it for the first time at the NHL level. So there's a lot of whoopsie. I'm going to learn from that. Got to make sure the cupboard is not as bare moving forward. But here's just an example of what the Leafs have gone through this year. In October, Dermott, Hyman, both missing the entire month because they had the surgeries, right? Hyman in his knee, Dermott in his shoulder. So October, key guy in your top 6, key guy on defense, gone.
Yeah.
Then October, John Tavares breaks a finger. Okay, October 16th, didn't return until November 5th.
7 games out.
7 games. That was the guy who scored 47 goals for you last year. This is the captain of your team. He's gone. No sooner does he come back, his line mate in November, Mitch Marner, suffers a high ankle sprain November 9th, didn't return until December 4th.
Missed 11 games.
So he gone.
Yeah.
So that line there of Hyman, Tavares, and Marner, as we all said, which was the most dynamic 5-on-5 line in all of the league last year, decimated.
Tell it to Mike Babcock. It's one of the reasons he got fired.
Yeah, and then in December, you had Andreas Johnsson broke his foot, didn't return until January. Ilya Mikheyev, we all know about that season-ending wrist injury that happened. So he had surgery. He's skating around. He's not coming back.
No.
Not this year. Jake Muzzin, that you just alluded to, broke his toe, I believe, which is why he was able to come back faster than, what's happening to Morgan Rielly right now. But he did that on December 27th, missed a full month. Then in January, oh, yay! Jake Muzzin's back. Oh, no. Morgan Rielly broke his foot January 12th. He's still out. February, you had Freddie Anderson dealing with his neck injury. Andreas Johnsson, again, out. He had knee surgery.
He's missed 21 games now.
Cody Ceci, ankle injury. We don't know when he'll be back. I don't want to go on. I was going to say, do you want me to go on? But I don't want to go on. Let's just stop right there. But that is taking you through what a dismal season it has been as far as constantly having to plug holes where key guys have gone down. And I haven't even mentioned here, he's no longer with the team, but Trevor Moore, right? He ended up going down with a significant injury, I think shoulder, right? Wanted to come back, but in practice took a bump, then had the concussion, then was trying to come back, and then he ends up getting traded. I honestly, it's to the point now where it's leaving me speechless. Yeah,
this is it's piling up, let's say, right? And these are not insignificant injuries. These are not small injuries. Now, you put it in context. Our man at Twitter, Man Games Lost NHL, which is a pay site, but he's had some stuff up on Twitter about, ranking the teams and the significant ice times they've lost. And the Leafs aren't exactly in the top 5 even in some of those rankings. But they are, I think the last one he had up a couple weeks ago was they definitely had lost the most point shares, which is sort of trying to quantify what you're losing in terms of statistical contributions. They were the top Canadian teams in terms of lost point shares to injuries and illness in the league. So, yeah, the bug is more than a bug now. It's a bit of a monster.